What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Keep It Down podcast. As always, I'm your host, Garrett, joined by my two brothers and co-host, Logan and Ty. TC, how you been, man?
Man, I'm doing all right. My fantasy teams didn't win over the weekend, and I didn't do so hot in Pickems, so I'm ready to get off the schneid this week, boys. I just promise I'm gonna get these picks rolling, and you guys just wait. But yeah, man, super excited to get into it. Ready for another episode.
How we going? Schmack. How you living, man?
Good. Hanging in there. We got a bit of a doozy to get into this week, so I'm super excited.
A doozy. And with that, be sure to check us on Instagram at Keep It Down Pod. In our bio, you'll find our link tree, and that will take you to wherever you choose to consume your content, whether that be TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify. All the audio sites are available. Make sure to rate and review where available. Hit that red subscribe button. And boys, as per usual, we like to start the week with just a 10-minute little recap. Let's buzz around. Let's fly around some topics, just some quick hitters. Let's start in South Bend, Indiana, boys.
Mm.
Ohio State finds a way to squeak it out in the end over Notre Dame. What do you think? This is kind of what we expected out of the game. Do we expect it to be more of a shootout? What are our thoughts here?
Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect out of this one. I haven't watched either of these teams play yet this season. Actually, no, I take that back. I watched Notre Dame in the opener when they were in Germany or Ireland or something for the opener. But besides that, I haven't really watched them too much. So I didn't know what to expect. As Coach Denman would say, this is just a real barn burner, defensive matchup, just a real grinded out type of game. But thrilling to the end, obviously, with the last second win by Ohio State, man. It ended up being a great game. Definitely lived up to the hype.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I thought this would be kind of more of a shootout kind of thing where we'd have like a, 35-28 or, something along those lines. But I mean, 17-14, I mean, it seems like it's pretty low scoring for the type of football that both of these teams kind of like to play. But I mean, it was good. It was one of those instant classic games. Obviously, Ohio State's coach, Ryan Day, was I don't know if you guys saw any of the clips, but he was all
Yeah.
kinds of fired up after the game. And, rightfully so, I think. But yeah, I mean, just a great solid game between those two teams.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Day just went absolutely Stone Cold Steve Austin, full attitude
Uh,
era WWE on that microphone, dude. And so,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, that's a great win if you're Ohio State. You love to get in some of those games where you got to fight it out and kind of get your back against the wall on the road, facing a one of the pinnacles of college football as it is. So,
hmm
big game on the road. Like I said, huge implications. Obviously, you still
yeah,
got Michigan, you still got Penn State on the docket. This time one they circle and say, we can't lose here. So, which they didn't. So, I mean, it took all 50, 59 and 30 seconds, or 59
yeah,
Mhm.
57 seconds even.
hmm
So, but yeah, real gutsy win out of them.
yeah,
We saw USC struggle on the road against Arizona State. Really kept it close till the fourth, and then USC scored a couple late touchdowns to kind of pull ahead and get their handle on things. What are early thoughts on USC?
Yeah, I mean USC clearly had the better team, but Dilly did a great job preparing those Arizona State boys, man. They really put up a great fight. And it was a really entertaining game all the way to the end. But I think it does kind of feed into our suspicions that USC is more of a pretender this year. Kind of validated some of those feelings from us, but I don't know, man. It might be one of those situations where they're just playing down to their opponent, but time will tell.
yeah. I think. I mean, to me personally, and Oregon's been bitten by this snake before too, but I don't want I don't want to be playing anywhere near that desert on a Pac-12 after dark game because wild things happen. It seems like whatever team goes to play there kind of plays down to the level of either Arizona team. It's just a scary place to be in. Oregon's been on the losing end of that situation. We've been in some tight games before. Um, I mean, it like TC said though, USC maybe not the team that everyone thought they were. I mean, their defense, we've kind of known this is going to struggle this year, especially after keeping the same defensive coordinator. But I mean, yeah, good for. I don't know. It's kind of good for Oregon though. I mean, thinking about it, getting up into the USC's and Oregon's matchup later on in the year, USC staying undefeated. Looks better for us. So I guess that's a win we can take out of it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a little bit of sloppy performance out of USC, but I don't think we really learned anything we didn't already know about this team.
Yeah.
The defense is suspect, and if you can rattle Caleb Williams, then you'll have a decent chance. That's what Oregon State did to him in that 12-9 shootout in Corvallis last year, and that's what Arizona State did to him on Saturday. So I don't think it's a secret that that's the recipe to kind of figure out this USC team. So as you get more weeks and weeks of film, I think it's going to become more evident to more teams. So um, Clemson, Florida State, overtime thriller, boys.
Yeah.
Overall, a good game yet again. Dabo Sweeney has lost 2 games, and it's not even the end of September.
Mm.
Um, what, just what are the trajectory of these two programs?
Yeah, obviously Florida State on the ascension right now. I don't think Clemson is really down that bad. Still a tough team. Obviously not what you expect out of a typical Clemson team, but it's not like they're a bad football team. I thought that they're going to go down and win the game before I believe it was either a pick six or a fumble return for a touchdown there late in the game to get Florida State back into it. They had their chances, man. They played a great game, just some crucial mistakes at the end. But I don't think it's a bad Clemson team, just not what we're accustomed to. But Florida State's really starting to impress.
Yeah, I think Florida State's really like winning some big games. I mean, we've had them in the first, three or 4 weeks of our pick'ems. They've just had big games that they've played in. For Clemson, I mean, you're kind of running out of big games to really kind of like boost you back up into that, hey, we're relevant in the ACC. I mean, losing to Duke, now losing to Florida State. I mean, you're really kind of running out of opportunities. So it's unfortunate. It was a great game. I mean, as soon as it went to overtime, though, I think we kind of knew the writing was on the wall for Clemson. But it was a good game nonetheless, though.
Yeah, I mean, they just had to finish that game off in the fourth there, man. They're so close,
Yeah.
but that's why you got to play all 60 minutes. That's why the game's played on the field, not on paper. So,
Mm.
yeah, just a brutal way to lose, man. And if you're Florida State, you kind of look up and go, who else do we have to play? I mean,
Hmm.
Clemson, I would say, is the second best team in the conference for sure. I mean, Duke
Easily,
would
yeah.
be a tough out if it's on the road. I'm not sure exactly how Florida State's schedule looks out, but I mean,
Yeah.
if you're Florida State, you kind of, you know, got those 2 feathers in your cap of LSU and Clemson, and you're just kind of looking to coast through this thing and gain some momentum. So, but we will see what they do, boys. Um, Washington State goes. Wait, this
Hmm.
is at Washington State. Oh yeah.
Was.
So yeah, at Washington State, but they beat a very disciplined, very good defense Oregon State team by a field goal. I kind of shocked that Oregon State put up that many points. Honestly, I thought if it got into 30s or 40s, then it'd for sure be a Washington State blowout. But Oregon State stuck around. So yeah, what do we think, boys?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was a little bit overzealous on this Oregon State team. I thought that they were going to be a little bit tougher than they are. They came out super flat, especially in the first half, man. I think they were down by a couple of scores for like most of the time that we were watching the game. And then I think they got some garbage points kind of at the end to make it seem a little bit closer than maybe it really was. But yeah, Washington State did their thing, man. But that's the thing with Washington State. Like once you get past 30 points, they're going to have a chance in the game just because of the offense that they play. They love shootouts. Schmog said it on the podcast last week. They're one of the more shooty, outier teams that we have in the country. So
Shootiest,
that's what
outiest.
happens. Exactly.
um, yeah, I mean, if I'm like playing Washington State, I mean, I got to think to myself, okay, the last thing I want to do is get into this first quarter and give up 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns. Because I mean, then even if you do come crawling back, like you're in their realm. Like you're gonna have to just go offense and offense and offense, and that's what it comes down to. And they are extremely good at it. They are, in my opinion, one of the best teams to play that style of football in the country, regardless of where they finish at in the Pac-12 or the Pac-2 now. Um, they're good at what they do, and they beat a good team. So great for them.
While we're talking about the Pac-2, I saw a report came out today that like it's almost likely to guaranteed that the current playoff format is going to stick around for at least 2024. So that would entail
Mm,
that one of the two Pac-12 members would get an auto bid into the playoff.
Hey.
So I mean,
Yikes.
just if you're Oregon State
Some
or
big games
Washington
being
State,
played.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
electric, man. So
Dude, maybe they were on to something, dude.
they knew it. This is the 1,000 IQ gigabrain play right now.
Dang.
Hmm. Exactly right.
But yeah, so we kind of went over college ball a little bit, boys. Let's any highlights or lowlights of the NFL slate that we want to talk about.
I mean,
Yeah.
Miami. I mean, we'll just start there, dude. I mean, goodness gracious. 70 points in an NFL game. Dude, and like not even trying to run it up, man. They were going to every which player, basically everyone except for the water boy, got a chance to be on the field on Sunday. I mean, that was insane. I mean, I can't remember, and guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but anything close to that in recent years. You know, like we've seen 40s, we've seen some 50s, but 70 points in an NFL game is unreal.
Yeah, I want to say I saw a stat that said it was the first time or the most points scored since like 1966 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a reason why you haven't remembered anything like that, Schmuck. It's just
Yeah.
absolutely insane. I think it is worse for the Broncos than it is good for the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Sean Payton came into this year. Sorry, Chach, close your ears for this one, but he came into this year saying it's the worst coaching job that he's ever seen. And I think he might be topping it this year with what he's putting out on the
He's
field.
killing it, dude.
If you guys remember, I mean, the Broncos had to trade for Sean Payton, man. Like he wasn't just a regular signing. Like they gave up assets to get this guy. I don't think it's all his fault. You know, it's his first year there. He's gonna gotta work with what's already pre existing. But yeah, man, just not a good look at all to get blown out the way they did.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah, I
brutal win.
mean, you just like, yeah, I mean, especially him coming in and making all those comments about the previous head coach, you know, and then coming in and you had a freaking embarrassing loss against Washington. You get absolutely demoralized against Miami. Like, how, I mean, it kind of feels like this is bottom of the barrel, but like, I'm kind of interested to see if there's going to be a new bottom of the barrel next week. You know what I mean?
I know going into the season, I think everyone expected the Cardinals to be the worst team in football, and the
Yeah.
Broncos have just said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah.
Yeah, just I mean, a bad situation gone worse is what we got here. Just a classic. You're paying Russell Wilson however much money. I think it's 270 million or something like that. Yeah, you just can't have that. You can't lose by 50 points ever. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and especially in the conference there in the AFC West with the Raiders, the Chiefs, and the Chargers. So, I mean, how many games can you drop and be like, "Oh yeah, we've got a shot," and then
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, just the more you look at it, the more that like your season's already ending and it's week 3. You know, like you got to
Yeah.
get up off the wagon now, like yesterday. And so I don't know how you get a group that happened to kind of pick themselves up and move forward efficiently. But
Yeah.
man, it'll be something if they actually do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a real offensive explosion from Miami. But yeah, I mean, this Denver team, man, not much else to say about these guys.
Yeah.
What else stood out from the NFL weekend, boys?
For a low light, um, in the Monday night game, or no, it was a Sunday night. Oh yeah, the Raiders game, Raiders Steelers Sunday night. Um,
What
I
a win.
obviously text this in the group chat. Big win for the Steelers, but it was just
Love to see it.
mind-boggling that he would kick a field goal inside of the 15-yard line. And then,
So here's where I'm at with it.
okay, I
They
want to
lined
go.
up for the they lined up for the field goal with about 4 or 5 minutes left initially.
Mm-hmm.
They kick it, they make it, but then the Steelers get flagged, and so they get a second chance on the drive. Okay, so now you drive all the way down. There's like 2 minutes left, and you're at the 2 yard line or inside the 10, and you kick the field goal again. So essentially, all you've done is run a couple minutes off the clock to get the same result that you would have had if you just would have declined the penalty. Like
Right.
if that was like, are you being aggressive or are you not being aggressive? Like make up your mind one way or the other. But
Neither.
to not even attempt to throw the
Yeah.
ball in the end zone when you're down 8 with less than 2 minutes left, like yeah, like Josh said, mind boggling, man. Like the
Yeah.
initial decision, I kind of understand because Pittsburgh offense isn't that great, so you're figuring you can get a stop, get the ball back, potentially go win the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a field goal doesn't do much for you with less than 2 minutes left.
Right, and I mean, like, say you throw an interception, on you're lobbing the ball up to Devontae Adams, and the Steelers pick it off. You're in the same situation if you would have kicked the field goal and kicked it off to him.
S-
Like, there's no
Mhm.
Still need a
difference.
touchdown.
Exactly, you
Yeah,
still
still
need
need
a
a
touchdown.
touchdown.
So why not at least try it? Devontae Adams had a decent game. He's one of the best route runners we've ever seen, and so I
Mhm.
I just feel like you got to give him a shot at least. I mean, but that's just me. I don't know. I'm not an NFL coach, obviously, but that was definitely a weird one.
TC, what are your thoughts on the? I'm sure you've seen it. The Minka Fitzpatrick roughing the passer call.
Mm.
Where how are we sit on that? It's kind of been a hot topic. I don't know if you who have a side of the fence that really you're on. I think the call's a little weird, a roughing the passer call when old boy still has the ball in his hands. So what are your thoughts on that? Being a defensive minded Steelers fan.
Yeah, so when I first saw the play, like, full speed live, I was like, okay, yeah, helmet to helmet. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
thought right away. Now, when you slow down and you watch the replay, like, yeah, he does hit the shoulder first with his helmet, and then it's kind of a glancing blow, like, not a forcible impact to the head. So like when it's slowed down and replayed, obviously you're like, yeah, it shouldn't have been a foul. But like live, like homeboy's hauling ass and just
Yeah.
Mhm.
destroys the quarterback. And he did hit him up kind of high, so I can understand it's a quarterback friendly league. Like you might get that flag. Obviously, the Steelers fan in me thought it was, wish it would have went the other way. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I do understand it. But the one thing that I'm not understanding is like all these rumors swirling about these whisperings that I'm hearing that Minka is some sort of dirty player,
Mm,
going back to last week with the Nick Chubb freak accident. Like
Yeah, that's
Nick
crazy.
Chubb is a massive human being. He's trying to take out his legs. Everyone in the NFL is probably attempting to do the same exact thing. Yes, Minka's a hard hitter, but he wasn't trying to hurt anyone, obviously. And then, you get the helmet to helmet call in the Raiders game, and it's just adding to it. That's the part that I don't understand.
yeah. I mean, obviously, I think football has a lot of newer fans. I mean, this year with just a lot of stuff, different stuff going on, and it kind of seems like a lot of these claims of stuff that's kind of flying around have really picked up this year a lot. So I wonder if those two don't have any sort of correlation. But I mean, we've been watching Mika Fitzpatrick since he was, freaking roaming the
Bama.
streets of Alabama. You know what I mean? And he's been the same player as he was in Alabama, as he was in Miami, as he is now as a Steeler. So I mean, yeah, anything about him being a dirty player and him not having integrity in the game is just absolute. Yeah, I'm gonna say hogwash.
Oh,
Wow,
Absolute
beautiful.
hogwash.
creative. Yeah, I
I
think
love Minka
I,
Fitzpatrick, and he plays hard. But I mean, he is one of those guys that because of how he plays is a little bit more old school. I think he is going to draw some more of those flags and some more of that attention. But yeah,
yeah, I think to Schmog's point, I think he's correct, and I think also part of the issue is like a lot of people don't watch college football to an extent, so they don't like understand these things that are, Ty and I even talked about it in like one of our fantasy football drafts. Like they don't know who these people are, like that we've been watching them play for 4 or 5 years in college, and so like it
Mhm.
just provides a whole different perspective. Like obviously Minka Fitzpatrick went to Alabama, and obviously they coach a high level of discipline and being a decent human and being professionals and all that kind of stuff. And so like it's just, yeah, it's being ignorant, and ignorance is bliss, I guess, though. So
Yeah.
anything to push an agenda.
Yeah.
But
One thing I did like to see, though, I believe it was a Holcomb in the middle.
Mhm.
Receiver comes in and he just absolutely blows up the play. Initially, they throw a bunch of flags on him just because it was such a violent hit. But then the flags were picked up, man, because they all recognized that it was all just shoulder to shoulder, like just as clean a hard hit as you can have in the NFL today. So love to see him pick up with the flags on that one. I would have been pissed if they would have thrown the flag on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to see that you can still have like full contact, like good hits, like that aren't just surrounded by flags the entire time. You know what I mean? Because the game is
Mm-hmm.
changing, and there are rules to protect players, and you can't just go around, jumping through the air with your helmet at people anymore. And it's good that some of the rules have changed, but it's nice to see like a good hit every now and again. You know what I mean?
yeah, and then every week we kind of touch on our each of our teams. Obviously, we just talked about TC's game. Obviously, got a huge dub over the Raiders primetime slot. Speaking for my game, just an absolute crusher, man. You lose on a
Yeah.
last second missed field goal. Just super unfortunate. Derek Carr goes out with a shoulder injury. Looks like he's week to week. Um, Obviously, that's not ideal, but I mean, I guess that's why we pay Jameis. So let's see what that takes us, I suppose. But
Yeah, I mean, Josh, you guys' defense is looking great. That's the upside. I
Mm-hmm.
think even if you guys have to play a couple of games with a really serviceable backup in Jameis Winston, like you guys are probably going to be okay. You guys
Yeah.
get a little bit of a lift this week. Alvin Kamara getting off suspension, so we'll
Yeah, it's
see
huge.
what he's looking like this year. Hopefully, he's more interested in playing football this year with you guys being a more competitive team again. He's definitely going to help out, especially in the absence of Jamal Williams. But yeah, I think all's fine down in New Orleans. Just got to kind of catch a groove offensively.
yep,
Yeah, so I mean, Washington was we had the Bills come to town. So I mean, I'll start with the positives. Sold out the stadium once again. Lots of people excited to be at the game. It's a great look. Love it. I mean, Washington got absolutely, dog walked by Buffalo. But I mean, I think those games are still going to happen. We're still kind of rebuilding. We're still trying to find that offensive groove, I think, a little bit. Sam Howell, I mean, has less than 5 NFL starts. And so I think he's making some mistakes that you're going to see out of a quarterback who's still trying to find his footing a little bit. I think our offensive line could definitely use some work and just kind of they should sync up on the same page. It's kind of what it looks like when I watch them play. They just kind of seem like they're not on the same page. It's like it starts off fine and the protection's fine, and then at some point, like Hal tries to do something, or there's there's like a different assignment the line is trying to accomplish, and it just kind of leaves one or the other just kind of out in the open, which sucks. Brian Robinson looked good. I thought. I mean, obviously, I think his final was 35-3 or something like that. But I mean, I don't think our defense is bad. I still don't think our defense is bad. I think the Bills have a good offense. I think Diggs had a really, really good game. Josh Allen looked sharp. But I mean, I think there's a lot to be positive about. It's not like a demoralizing thing where I'm just saying we're screwed for the rest of the year. You know what I mean? I mean, it's one loss, so on to the next
Yeah, I
one.
mean, I think everyone kind of expected the Bills to take a step back this year, us included, but I don't really know if they have. I mean, I think they're still going to be a really tough team, especially when you get later in the year, those cold games up in Buffalo. You got to
Mm,
tackle big Josh Allen, and that's not going to be so fun. Those
yeah.
receivers are going to get theirs. James Cook, man, is really coming to life, and I believe
Yeah.
his second season now. But yeah, they're going to be a tough out as well. So, you got beat by a good team.
Yeah, I mean, at least it we didn't have a team that hasn't made it far in the playoffs the past few years, like a mediocre team come and do that to us. You know what I mean? That would suck way more. But it's the Bills, so I mean, it's kind of get a pass. But in my opinion, I mean, loss is still lost. But I can I can take that and move on to the next week.
where's
Boys,
your Sam Howell
go
meter
ahead.
at Schmag? It was
Oh,
at an
still,
Yeah,
8.
yeah.
You're still
yeah,
on the
still an
8.
8, still an
Okay,
8. I mean, he's the guy. I don't want any changes to be made. I mean, he's a young kid, and you gotta let him make mistakes, and you gotta let him, you know, gotta let him grow. So
there we go. 10
yeah,
toes down, Schmag. TC,
10
what you
toes
got?
down.
Boys, this is something that I never thought we'd be discussing here on the Keep It Down podcast, but I think it was noteworthy from the weekend. Taylor Swift.
Ooh,
Taylor Swift making the appearance at the Kansas City Chiefs game. Okay. Um, I think it's great.
yeah.
It's getting more eyes on the NFL world, just as Dion has done with Colorado. Taylor Swift is doing for the NFL world.
What a
Did you
weird
guys
place.
People who
did you guys see
wouldn't
that
normally
stat?
be.
Sorry,
Go
TC. I was
ahead.
just about to say, did you see that stat that Travis Kelsey's jersey sales have gone up 400? That's the number, 400% since Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
No,
mean,
yeah.
he's got to be making a ton already off jersey sales. You know what I mean? I mean, best tight end in football, maybe ever. And so he's already making a ton on that. 400%. I can only imagine what that paycheck's going to look like. That's
Yeah, I
wild.
mean, Chiefs Kingdom just got so many new members over the weekend, man. Like,
Oh
Crazy.
I
yeah,
was
it's
talking to one of my coworkers, and she's got a couple of daughters, and Their household is all Chargers fans as far as the adults go, but the girls came in the living room and told them that they are going to be Kansas City Chiefs fans now. Just because
Dang,
Taylor Swift was at the game and
that's
dating Travis
brutal, dude.
Kelsey. So,
Yeah.
you know, you got to imagine that's kind of happening across the states. But yeah, it was cool. I saw a couple clips where like Pat Mahomes was waving to her in the box, and like all the like training staff realizes that she's up there, and they're like, "Who's that?" And then like they see her, and they're like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
So just a lot of star power. And then I saw another clip where it was like people just basically waiting outside of the suite that she was in, like
Hmm.
while the game's happening, just to try to get a glimpse of her. So yeah, I just thought it was like a fun side quest for the NFL season will be Taylor Swift and the Kansas City Chiefs.
I mean, I know it's like crazy, but I mean, anything like this, I mean, it's good for football, right? I mean, you take two people that are insanely popular in their own rights, you know what I mean? And like, it's going to bring so many more eyes to Kansas City and to the NFL in general, you know what I mean? I mean, how many like new football fans like do we have? You know what I mean? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's cool. Football's been such a huge part of our life. So like anything that like brings people over to a sport that's like kind of a niche market for the most part. Everyone watches the Super Bowl, but now it's like it's bringing a bunch of new people and a bunch of new potential fans to the game. You know, which I think is cool.
Yeah, I think weirdly enough, the comparison is obviously to Jake Paul and influencer boxing. Um, like everyone's gonna watch the Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia, but outside of that, no one's turning it on, and so I feel like it's similar in a way. Obviously, millions and millions of people watch the NFL every Sunday for every Sunday that has ever happened, but still, I think bringing all these new fans to teams and people and personalities and letting the players have more of a personality than just being a player on the field. I think it's really good, and I mean it can't hurt to get more eyes on the field for sure. So
I was gonna say how cool is it for Mama Kelsey, man? Like both your boys in the NFL played against each other in the Super Bowl last year. This year, you're sharing a suite with Taylor Swift, and she's cheering when your son catches the touchdown, like absolutely going bonkers.
yeah,
That's pretty cool, and obviously, she's a fan favorite of the NFL world, Mama Kelsey.
Yeah, I think there's. I just saw a clip. I think there's a New Heights episode, the Kelsey Brothers podcast, coming out where I saw a little clip, and I think they're gonna dive into the whole thing. I think Jason kind of talks to Travis about it, so we'll see what he has to say.
yeah. And Jason Kelsey kind of started this whole thing because he went in like on different pressers and stuff and told people that they were dating and weren't dating and all this shit. So it only comes full circle, baby. Um,
Always.
I mean, speaking of full circle, I feel like we addressed the elephant in the room.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm ready.
so let's talk about the game first. Obviously, we're talking about Oregon and Colorado. Yeah, let's talk about the football first, and then we'll get into the other part of this discussion after that.
The game went just about as good as it could have gone. Um, Game plan executed to perfection. The aggressiveness from the coaching staff, highlighted by the fake punt in our own red zone, inside our own 20. Having a 300, 400-pound lineman carry the ball downfield for you, like just
Crazy.
absolutely no fear. Obviously, a huge statement game, but yeah, man, just execution. And man, the defense just looked lights out, man. We know that's a dangerous Colorado offense, and to limit them the way that they did, that was probably the most impressive thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, it was such for so many reasons, but I mean, just like football wise, it was just such a good day to be an Oregon fan. Like they came out, dude, and like you could just feel it. Like even just watching it through the TV, like you could feel the energy in that stadium. And I mean, we get the ball first, and I'm just thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, this game's over. It's over. There's nothing that can be done by Colorado at this point. Like it's going to go exactly how we want it to, and it did. It was, I mean, every phase of the game we're dang near perfect, which is so awesome.
Yeah, obviously, echo everything you boys are saying. Tactical execution to a T. Defense was tackling probably the best we've seen them tackle in probably
Mm-hmm.
since 2019. I'd say they were just tackling these pass catchers for wherever they were catching the ball, they're getting brought down. There's no yards after catch, which is great. Defensive line was super active. Obviously, 7 sacks on the day. Love to see that. It looked, don't don't quote me word for word, but it looked more of an SEC-esque performance out of a football team. You know,
Mm.
um, and a lot of the stuff I saw this week was just about how bad the Colorado offensive line was. And I don't know, maybe I'm faded for this take, but I'll open it up to you guys. So if I'm playing a quarterback who's going to take his 5-step drop and then run, and he's going to back out of the pocket every time, if you're a defensive end, what are you going to do?
Freaking get after it.
You,
That's what I'm gonna
yeah,
do.
you're gonna play. You're gonna
They're
play
going
according to the quarterback's play style.
Exactly. You're going to rush 7 yards deep, and he's going to be there every single time. And when
Yeah.
you put these 330-pound linemen, like that's what I noticed the most. Shador Sanders was not climbing in the pocket at all. Zero
Mm-mm.
times. I literally watched the film. On every single sack, he was backing out of the pocket. And the 2 times he did step up in the pocket and climb effectively, he ran for 22 yards, and the other time he threw a first down ball. And so,
Yeah.
um, yeah, everyone's just talking garbage, talking bad on the Colorado offensive line. But if you're a quarterback, you can't be a one-trick pony. You're going to get caught, I
Yeah.
guess, especially against a defense of that magnitude. So yeah, but overall, great game. Obviously, tactically executed. Bo had a great day. The interception was a little weird, uncharacteristic out of him. I thought he personally should have thrown that over the top, but I don't know
Yeah.
if Troy was in some sort of zone coverage beater or something like that. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is kind of the Dan Lanning effect. We had mentioned that it's kind of an SEC feel to it. Well, that's where Dan Lanning came from. That's the style of
Mm.
ball that he wants to play. The real knock against Oregon is we always had freaks all over the field, but we were kind of lackluster as far as toughness and in the trenches. I think Dan Lanning's really reshaping that, and we're showing that we can be dominant on both sides of the ball as far as the offensive and defensive line. And I think that in itself can really carry us a long ways. Paired with the freak that we have at quarterback, the freak we have at running back, our freak receivers, like we're gonna be okay. We can win in multiple ways. We kind of talked about it going into the game. If we want to line up and run the ball at you, we can do that. If we want to play more air raid, we can do that. So it's a really versatile team. But yeah, I think this is really the Dan Lanning effect showing up in full force.
Yeah. And
Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say. I mean, you could tell. I mean, Oregon came in with a game plan, and they knew Colorado's defenses. They knew that their weaknesses. Their defensive line, and Colorado's not good against shallow routes. So I mean, the first quarter of that game, literally, I don't think we took one pass that was more than 10 yards downfield. It was tunnel screens and crossing routes and swing routes and just everything short, and then like make them tackle your guys. And I mean, Colorado just couldn't do it. I mean, that first drive. I mean, I didn't realize it, but we didn't get past second down. Literally first and second down, 10 yards, 70 yards down the field. First and second down only. Like we didn't even need the two other downs. So, I mean, just great schemes by the coaching staff this week.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we already kind of touched on it as far as the fake punt goes, but I thought that was
Mm-hmm.
really the pivotal point in the
Mm-hmm.
game. That
Yeah.
really just sucked all the life out of that Colorado sideline. It's a much different ball game. Down 13, getting the ball back with good field position rather than did they really just get a first down? Bo Nix coming back out on the field, and of course we
Yeah.
just march it all the way down and pay it off with a touchdown. I
Yeah.
thought that was really where the game swung into like, okay, like we're serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just weren't even expecting that in the slightest, dude. Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't anything fancy. It was a classic snap to the up back. Punter dives like it's a bad snap, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And it's funny because like it showed that camera angle the whole time from like behind the punter. I was like, dude,
Dude,
this would be a
I thought it was a bad snap.
me too. I was
I
like,
did
this would be
too.
such a bad time for it to be a muff snap right now. And I was like, oh shit, it
Yeah.
actually happened. And I was like, so lit after that. So yeah,
Oh
just
yeah.
man, the absolute nards that Dan Lanning has on him. Holy shit, man.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then yeah, kind of the dreaded part of this segment. I think we have to touch on kind of what was said after and the national perspective of this game. So Um, this kind of all stems from, ESPN had a camera in the locker room, pregame for Dan Lanning's pregame speech. Well, portions of the pregame speech, and I'm sure everyone's
Mhm.
seen it by now. But the rooted in substance, not flash. Talking about playing for wins, not for clicks. Um, what do you think? What do you think went so wrong with the media perceiving this message?
Well, the media wanted Colorado to win. Like
Right.
ESPN has been riding this Colorado hype train since it got on the track, since Dion was hired. I believe that their spring game was nationally televised on ESPN, not ESPN the Ocho, like ESPN.
Yeah.
So they've been really glomming onto them, and it just they had the nation worked up into a frenzy about this Colorado team. So it's like, what else is there to do after a performance like that? You know what I mean? Like that, yeah, just absolutely insane. And like Josh said, it was a portion of the pregame speech. I didn't think he said anything out of pocket at all. He's motivating
Mhm.
his team. He said it in his presser. He knows what's going to motivate his team, and he did that obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just. I mean, I'm really trying to like put. I think there's so many things like, and there's so many feelings that I have about like kind of what's been said and kind of like how Oregon is being looked at right now. I mean, he's motivating his players in the way that he knows how to, and he's not directly going after any one certain person in that organization. He is saying Colorado as a whole, and nobody else is getting the attention that Colorado is getting, and that's great for them. Colorado is not even ranked, and they were ranked what 18 or 19 going into that game. Not even a
Yeah,
top
19.
10 team. How many times have you heard Ohio State get talked about this season? How many times have you heard Georgia get talked about this season? Missouri is undefeated in the SEC. Nothing. You know what I mean? All the attention has been on Colorado, and the media loves Colorado because it's an easy story, it's an easy thing to talk about. So now somebody upsets that, and now everyone wants to. They all, no pun intended, but they all want to take it like personally and go after Lanning for like saying that. Like he's not just going after Dion to try to make himself feel better. He's going after, and he knows if you think Dan Lanning is the only person that felt that way, and none of the players on that team felt disrespected, and disrespected is the word by the national media, like you're wrong. It was everybody in that locker room. He's just saying how everyone felt, and he's saying it because he's the head coach and it's his job.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I was trying to think of an analogy for this all day, and it's like the media gets to overinflate this balloon and keep pumping out stuff. While Colorado, like the spring game, they beat TCU, they beat Nebraska, all the shit with Colorado State, and then they get to overinflate it to it pops, and then they get to just continue talking about it, and so like it's almost like a built-in
And then
safety net.
make excuses.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how does anyone ever lose their job at ESPN if this is how it works?
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy, man. Then, yeah, we won't even get into what Skip Bayless's dumbass said on his show, but it's like Schmog is saying, Oregon felt disrespected, and that's where it starts and that's where it ends. And they
Yeah.
played on the field. They didn't take personal shots at anyone, contrary to the kid who is the son of the other opposing coach. But we'll
Yeah.
just table it there. Um, there was no personal shots. They weren't playing dirty. They weren't talking after whistles. They were talking with their pads, just like Dan Lanning said they would. And so I don't see anything wrong with that. I think this is kind of what we talked about earlier with, I don't know if it's just new college football fans because Dion brought this influx of people in with him, aka the Dion tax. I mean, it's just crazy, man.
Yeah, and the other side of it is like, this is college football where, especially on the West Coast, you don't get the opportunity to have that many eyes on your game. You know, there's not a lot of opportunities to get that many eyes on the game throughout the season. We have Washington, we have USC, we have Utah, correct?
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and so those games, maybe USC, will get a similar sort of viewership, but this was it for us. Like, this was the Oregon coming out party. And so I don't believe that we were running up the score. I don't think we were doing anything disrespectful. But at the same time, it was like our chance for eyes on the TV to see like what Oregon is capable of. Um, primetime game, not in the primetime slot, but it was the primetime game of the day. And we came out and we wanted to impress, and that's exactly what we did.
Yeah, I mean, we completely embarrassed and demoralized that team. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happened outside the field, none of which I feel like is from Oregon's camp. I feel like, for a team like Colorado and, everyone's talking in, Dion has just brought in a big following to his team. And you have everyone at ESPN and Lil Wayne and freaking T.O. is running out of the freaking tunnel with them and all this stuff. And it's like, they're just moving the goalpost. Like, it's like Colorado goes out, gets whooped. Instead of just saying, you know what, Oregon's a good team, we got beat. It's just excuse after excuse after excuse, and then it's something Oregon did, and then Oregon's running up the score. And why would you go for a fake punt on when you're already up by 13 in the first quarter? Like, what?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
like,
they didn't.
Dan Lanning talked about it, and Dan Lanning has
Yeah.
handled this like such a champ, and I feel like he always does. He has these press conferences, and people ask these questions, and he has great answers for them. He's like, "Hey, we've done that before numerous times. We always like these are our tactics on these different plays. Like this isn't new to them. This like they played the same game that they would normally play. And I mean, Colorado deserved every bit of having Oregon starters stay in and losing by 80. They deserved every single bit of that. But I mean, we didn't have to.
Yeah, I mean, Portland State and Hawaii put up points in the first half on Oregon, and so yeah,
Mhm.
it was time. This was Oregon's time to make a statement. They
Yeah.
This was the highest viewed game of the weekend. Still, it was a 42-6 blowout, and this was their chance. This is what we said, in last week's show before the game. This is Bo Nick's chance to get the eyeballs on him for the Heisman conversation, and this
Yeah.
is Oregon's chance to put their mark on college football, and they did just that. And everything else really doesn't matter. And I mean, the thing that really got me going, man, is I'm watching game day and whatnot, and they have Marcus Freeman, the head coach of Notre Dame, on, and the
Hmm.
first question that they ask him is about Deion Sanders.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like, if here's the thing, if you play him, you can have an opinion. If you don't, you shouldn't, because there's no point in talking about it. We're talking about college football at the end of the day. We're not like it's. I don't know, man. It just drives me crazy. It drives me
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I mean, why is Notre Dame's coach not getting asked about the very
Ohio
first
State.
thing is a top six.
10
Ohio State is
matchup.
ranked, yeah, top 10 matchup. Ohio State is ranked sixth. They're coming to your field. How is the first question out of your mouth not how has preparation gone for this game that you're going to play today? Because this could have lasting implications on your college footballs. Like, no, none of that. It's Deion Sanders. It's crazy. It's so ridiculous, and I think the media, ESPN, needs to take a freaking huge step back, and like we need to freaking recalibrate here. There's a lot going on in college football other than what's happening in Boulder. It's cool. I mean, it's great for them, but like they need to chill.
Yeah, to your guys' point, I think we kind of popped the media's balloon with this Colorado bandwagon. So now we have to be the bad guys. But
Yeah.
this is what we were talking about all off season, boys. Like, this was the first time when Colorado was outmatched on the field as far as talent goes. And
Yeah.
so we've been talking about it like, we know they have a good team. Are they well coached? Are they disciplined? Like, can they win the close game? And I think a lot of those questions got answered on Saturday
Yeah.
to like kind of, I mean, not to be disrespectful, but put Colorado in their place as far as the hierarchy of college football goes. And I think people are starting to kind of realize like there is levels to this.
I was just about to say that. Like all of these, Colorado fans that have come out of the woodwork somehow just crawled out from underneath the rocks in Boulder over there. I mean, I was literally about to say there's levels to the recruiting, there's levels to the culture, there's levels to the work that Dan Lanning has put in, and everyone's saying that Dan Lanning just had this all given to him and he walked into this situation. Like that guy didn't win national championships, like he didn't take them to, a couple wins away from a Pac-12 championship, to a bowl game, to beating Drake May, who is the number one rated quarterback in this year's like draft class. Like you're freaking crazy. So everyone trying to discredit Dan Lanning. I mean, get over yourself. Like just take the loss. move
Yeah,
on.
and the last thing on this that I want to say is, I mean, you can't say we've never been here because this happened exactly 1 year ago. Oregon
Mhm.
got dog walked by Georgia. And
Yeah.
did Dan Lanning go on that microphone and blame anyone? Say it was any specific skill positions group fault? No. Did anyone
I
in
keep
national?
receipts.
Yeah. You better get me now.
Yeah.
Well, too bad we're fucking leaving conferences, you dimwit. So yeah, we'll
Yeah.
get you now, and we'll get you then too, probably. So, but anyways,
Yeah.
like no one blamed anyone for losing to Georgia because there are levels to this shit,
Yeah.
as Ty said.
Yeah.
Like Georgia is the eventual national champions. We'll see what Oregon ends up being. We'll see what Colorado ends up being. But that's all it is. You got beat by a team that's better than you. They have better recruits, better coaching, better everything. That's how it works, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I mean, it just makes me thankful. You know what I mean? I mean, this is Colorado's, arc, and this is what the expedition that they're currently on, and like that's great for them if this is the culture they want to have, and this is how they want to be. But I'm just thankful. I'm thankful that our team is rooted in substance, as Dan Lanning said, and we didn't have any stupid after the play penalties. We weren't freaking out there talking. We weren't out there running our mouths. We weren't saying anything. I mean, that video that Oregon put out, that video, that week 4 cinematic video, like Colorado's being just completely disrespectful to everything that Oregon has built. And nothing. Didn't say a single word to him. Neither did the coaches, and just let it happen. So I mean, I'm proud. I'm proud to be a Ducks fan. I'm proud that that's how that game went.
Well, yeah, and also, I mean, we went through the whole Oregon schedule before the season started, and I think we just breezed right past Colorado. We were like, "Oh, yep, that's a win," but we really should be thankful for how huge of a matchup this ended up being. This was another
Hmm.
huge
Yeah.
notch on our belt, and
Yeah.
like whether they're talking about the stuff after the game, whatever, like you know, real college football viewers will remember like what we did on Saturday. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Yeah. Absolutely.
all eyes were on the TV, man. So it's like it was huge for us to add another marquee game to the matchup that we probably wouldn't have gotten otherwise without Dion.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So thanks for the boost, Colorado. We appreciate it. We'll see you. No,
See you
we
next
won't
time.
actually. We won't see you. It's not like we're about to see you in the playoffs. Freaking trash. Um. Yeah. I mean, we had. I mean, I don't really know how you guys feel, or if anyone has any thoughts on what the direction that Skip Bayless had to take this, or if you guys even want to get into this or not. But um, I mean, it doesn't surprise me why two of his co-hosts have now left and don't want to freaking work with the guy anymore. Because I mean, that guy has just repeatedly just said the most outlandish, ridiculous things on national television. He's used his platform to say some stupid stuff and bring a lot of criticism and hate towards people that don't deserve it, and somehow he keeps getting away with it. So I don't know if you guys have any quick thoughts or if you guys really want to take a deep dive into this, but that's kind of where I sit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care too much about it. I mean, his whole job is to say outlandish things that get clicks. That's the whole point. And there's
Yeah,
no accountability with the guy. He can be wrong as much as he wants, as long as he's
yeah,
getting people to click on the article and watch his show. So
yeah,
he's got to say things that are just really wild and out there. Obviously, just an absolutely horrible take. But I mean, what else do you expect from the guy?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
Exactly.
thought I thought Dan Lanning kind of said what we were all thinking. He's like,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
I don't know Skip, but from what I can tell from his tendencies of being wrong, it doesn't bother me
hmm
too much. And so I
yeah,
feel like that's a great way to put it. Like Ty said, he's obviously putting that out there for clicks and views and attention grabbers and headlines, which is great, and that's his lane, and that's all fine and good. But like, yeah, when you like just tarnishing someone else's name for it and reputation, who
yeah,
shapes young kids' minds into being adults and stuff, it's just crazy, man. Like being a fan of the program and a fan of Dan Lanning and just how much of a just overall good dude he is. Like it just
mm,
sucks, man. You hate to see it. You genuinely do.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned it a little bit earlier, but Colorado was the media's little puppy.
yeah,
And they could bring the puppy out and they could talk about the puppy for a half hour. Well, Oregon just stomped that puppy out. And so
Yeah.
now they are pissed at Oregon. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's just a lot of backlash because we killed their little puppy.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say on the media's coverage of our game. It's so
Yeah,
disappointing though, man, because like it's like I I'm really not I'm gonna get stuck on it. I know I am. But like every single like, panel that talked about it, whether there was Stephen A and Shannon Sharp, Ryan Clark and everyone else, or Skip and all the buffoons that he was talking to, it's like, dude, they just go and they just like trash Oregon, trash Dan Lanning, trash the whole operation, and then they're like, "Well, Oregon was supposed to win. Colorado was 1-11 last year." Like, it's like you guys just can't say, you know what? They came out and they freaking kicked the crap out of them, and that's it. They just can't leave it at that. None of
Also,
them. They're all gone the same exact way, man.
if Oregon was supposed to win, then why in God's name did you pick them to win outright?
Right? Exactly. Yeah.
Like, yeah, it
yeah.
just, I mean, that's just the nature of
Bunch of
sports
idiots,
media.
man.
But
I was gonna say it's gonna be interesting going forward, man, because that was the first conference game of the year.
Yeah.
Like the Pac-12 is good this year. Like this is
No.
not the last time when you're gonna be walking into a team that's probably better than you. So it's gonna be interesting to see how the media handles, them losing again potentially,
Yeah.
and or things are gonna be said, things are gonna happen throughout the year, like. Is the Colorado hype going to die down now? Is it going to ramp back up if they win a couple of games? Like, how is it going to go forward here? But yeah, this is not the last time that they're going to be overmatched on the field, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Overall, though, to end on a good note, excellent day to be a Duck fan. Excellent day for the Ducks. It was great. It felt good. It was a good win.
Boys,
exactly.
before we move on, here on the Keep It Down podcast, we like to do a 5-star rating system for last week's uniforms. Whew. What do we think, boys? What do we think of the unis? We went with the black helmet, green jersey, black pants with the color changing cleats, the first of their kind. What are we thinking?
4.5.
I mean, I'm gonna go 5.
I mean,
5.
there's no way that in this time and day and age, there'd be a thing with color changing cleats. And no, we're not talking about the little shades that you get at freaking Dick's Sporting Goods and you slide it over the little cover. No, they're thermoreactive, like a goddamn chameleon. We,
Wade the chameleon, dude.
yeah, are you kidding me? Like, you know what? I'm changing it to 5 stars. Marco's right. I'm sorry. I apologize. That's a 5-star rating for me as well.
Yeah, 5. I mean, I loved them. I think some of the uniforms too. I mean, there's just always going to be like a memory that lives with that uniform for me. And I mean, that was just such a it was a good win, and it holds a lot of weight for me. That win does. So 5.
Yeah, boys, I gotta agree. 5 stars, and it's for a lot of the reasons that Schmuck said. Just such a beautiful day, man. Just we looked awesome. We did our thing, like so on brand for Oregon. We got those boys up in Autzen Stadium. We came out looking fresh, and then we just took the wood to them, man. So it's like
So
just a classic Oregon performance.
yeah,
Love it. I'm going 5 stars.
beautiful.
It's a classic right
So
there,
early on in
baby.
the season too. Like I expected to
Yeah.
get have to be a little further on before we hit like a 5-star kind of thing, But boys proved us wrong.
Yeah, I mean, now that they figured out the technology, I mean, it's just going to be on jerseys. It's going to be on helmets. It's just going to
Oh, it's gonna be
be
wild.
everywhere. Yeah, it's going to be
Yeah.
crazy. So, looking forward to that. All right, boys, we can take this one of two directions. We're either going to a little game, or we go to our classic 50 and bust or bust section.
Let's go into the game.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
into the game.
yeah. Let's lift these vibes a little bit here. I'm still thinking about all the crap that was said about our boys and their freaking flawless victory royale. So let's bring the vibes up a little bit here.
All right, here's how this
Schmuck,
works.
you gotta be like Taylor Swift, and you gotta shake that off.
Check
Yeah,
that out.
I mean, Travis Kelce better be a little scared because he messes around, breaks up with her, dude. He's getting 5 albums and like 2 EPs written about him. So he better chill and freaking let's be smart here.
All right, here's how this is going to work. What I've got in front of me is a list of every number 1 overall pick since 2004.
Okay.
And
I'm so bad at these.
so usually we play for, whoever can get the most out of 10, stuff like that. This one is about whoever can survive the longest. There's a 3-strike
come on.
system. So every guess counts as a strike. You don't have to go in order. You can pick any year at any time. You're allowed 2 hints. And I can give you the college team or the professional team. But you have to pick a
Like
year
2
for
hints
me.
per turn?
No, 2 hints total.
Okay.
Actually, we'll do 1 hint per turn.
So wait, do we have to name year and player, or can we just name player?
Year as well.
Okay.
So, so basically, Shmag will be like, okay, 2012, what was their NFL team? And I'll give them their NFL team. Or you can pick their college team if you like to go that route as well. So we're going 2023 to 2004. TC. Kick it off for
You
us.
want me to start?
Yep.
2023 is going to be Bryce Young.
Ties on the board successfully.
This is so stupid.
Schmug done bad.
2022.
You don't have to go in order. Remember.
And part of me just wants to go in order just to have it flow nicely. But who was number 1 last year?
Don't get on the computer.
Yeah. I feel like this should be so much easier. I feel like I'm so focused on the now. You know what I mean? Is there a time limit?
No. We would like to finish the podcast today, though.
You don't have to go in order, Schmug.
Schmug, would it help you if I remove the year where you didn't have to say the year?
No, I'm
just remove the year. Remove the year.
No more years. No more years.
I'm just so unlocked right now because of this.
Any first round pick, Schmag, since 2004. First overall pick, sorry.
Okay, I need to collect myself. Hold on. Pause.
Oh my gosh. This boy down bad.
We're folding.
All right, Schmug, you got to give a guess.
Yeah, just guess. Schmug, first overall pick.
5, 4.
Okay, hold on.
3.
Okay, no. I want to go in order. 2022. Give me a hint on 2022.
Georgia.
What?
Would you like his NFL team?
I'm just unlocked on this right now.
But I do want you to know that every hint I give you, I also give to Ty. So just beware of that.
I'm really showing my football casualness right now, I think. I don't know. I just don't really pay attention to the number 1 overalls, I think. Or the draft, apparently.
All right, Schmug, you got to give a guess.
I mean, literally, who could it have been from Georgia? Because it wasn't Stetson Bennett.
Yeah. All right, any first overall pick since 2004? Give me a guess.
Dude, I know you keep saying that. I know. I mean, it's just hurting. Can I just have another turn? I just need to get the juices flowing, man.
All right, Ty, go ahead.
It's Trayvon Walker?
Yeah, correct. Schmag, back to you.
Okay, now that we're off 2022, let's get going, Schmag.
I mean, was RG3 a first overall? No, because it wouldn't have been Washington.
Nope.
I believe Cam Newton was the first overall.
That's correct.
Cam Newton.
I already said it.
Okay, Schmag, would you like to pick a year, and I can give you a hint, maybe?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's go the other direction. Let's go like 05. No, let's go 04 since we're starting at 04.
Would you like his pro team or his? Oh, this is a really. Schmack, pick a different year, please. You're never gonna get this one. This one's tough too. His college team's Utah.
Okay.
No, that's easy. That's easy.
Yeah, it is.
2005,
easy.
and his college team is Utah.
Mhm.
Yes. There's only one guy that could be.
It's just not coming to mind.
He played for
Yeah.
your team.
Yep, he did. Correct.
He played for Washington.
Yes.
Yes.
Tyson Malding.
That's fine. I don't know, man. I'm telling you, dude. I just don't pay attention to the first overall pick, and my memory bank just doesn't hold those. It doesn't. It really just doesn't.
Okay, it's gonna be Alex Smith.
Yes, it is.
Great.
Okay. Also, here. How do you want to play this game?
I think we just work together and try to go back as far as we can.
Okay, let's work together.
Yeah. Okay. So just go from 2021 down and see if you guys can constructively get them.
Okay, so I don't know 2021 yet, but I know Baker Mayfield's going to be on there, like 2019 maybe. 2018.
Baker's 2018. Correct.
Okay, Baker's on there. Is Trevor Lawrence on there?
He's your next pick in 2021. Trevor Lawrence. All right. Now we're down to 2020.
2020, I believe, is going to be like the Najee year. So that's going to be who was really doing their thing?
In 2020?
Yeah. Give me a hint.
Could that have been? It wasn't like Devontae Smith or something like that, was it?
No. LSU.
Oh, Joey B.
There you go. All right, moving on. 2019.
2019. So after Baker.
Mm-hmm. Right after Baker, per se.
Yeah, Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Got it. Got one. Let's go. I'm on the board.
Right. 2017 is an edge rusher.
Chase Young. Bosa? It's Bosa.
Yeah, it's Bosa.
Nope.
Oh. I think Bosa is on there, though.
No.
Is he? Bosa's not on there?
Bosa didn't go one?
Nope.
An edge rusher.
And it's not Clowney.
Nope.
But Clowney on there.
Mm-hmm. Clowney's 2014.
Yeah.
Okay.
2017 edge. Texas A&M.
Oh, Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett.
There you go. 2016 quarterback.
2016 quarterback. So he's going to be a little bit older now.
A little bit.
First overall pick. Quarterback. It's going to be like around like the Russell Wilson type guy.
The second Ohio State guy?
The college will give it away. It's Cal.
Oh, Goff.
Yep. 2015, also quarterback.
Okay.
Think about what was happening in 2015. What were we
That's
doing?
going to be like the Ezekiel area. Zeke was in college.
Is this Deshaun Watson?
No. Earlier.
This is no, because yeah.
Oh no, Watson would have been. Yeah.
2015. Give me the pro team.
Buccaneers. There's no way.
Jameis Winston.
There you go.
Yeah.
You guys got Clowney at 14. 2013 was, you might know it. Offensive tackle. Went to the Chiefs.
It's not one of the long boys, but I think one of the long kids is on there.
Yeah, long as 2008.
And he went to the Chiefs? It's not Trent Williams.
No.
It's God.
He's still playing for the Chiefs?
No.
I'm not sure. As of recently, he has, but not current, I don't think.
Oh, is it Orlando Brown?
No. He went to Central Michigan, if that helps.
Oh, no. That actually doesn't help at all.
All right, Eric Fisher. All right,
Okay.
let's do 3 more because those are like the real notable names. 2012, we got a quarterback from Stanford.
Oh, Andrew Luck.
2010 is a quarterback from Oklahoma.
Yeah, got to be Bradford.
Bradford.
Right.
Yeah. I almost said Bradshaw, but there was no that was right.
Crazy. Last but not least, 2009 quarterback from Georgia.
Oh, Matt Stafford.
There you go. Wow, boys.
Give me the other ones. Let's see if I can get him.
Okay. We already got Jake Long in 2008. 2007, we got a quarterback from LSU.
It's not Jared Stidham. Quarterback from LSU?
No, this was
yeah.
friggin-
Yeah, this is Jamarcus Russell.
Jamarcus Russell, yeah.
There you go. 2006, we got a defensive end from North Carolina State.
Ew.
Yeah, I don't think you guys will get this one. Went to the Texans. If that does anything for you.
Yeah, it's not Clowney.
Nope, a little before Clowney, per se.
It's not J.J. Watt.
Again, a little, not, yeah, no.
All right, who we got?
Mario Williams.
Oh, I knew that.
Oh,
2005 was Alex Smith. 2004, quarterback from Ole Miss.
Eli.
See, and that's what Schmag was going to request, and I was going to tell him it was the Chargers, but obviously he never played for the Chargers, so that would have just created just an absolute monkey wrench in Schmag's little melon.
More than it already was.
Yeah. More than it barely just already was. Well, boys, that went a little sideards, but we got some trivia in for the boys at least. So
yeah, I apologize for my lack of knowledge in NFL drafts. I just not that good at remembering. Even my own team, really just not that really good at remembering, especially first round picks. Kind of in the memory bank and out. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I get it.
All right, real quick, boys, before the Pickems, let's get to our 50 or bust segment. So, for everyone listening, this is our weekly sports betting portion of the pod. Every week we place 1 to 2 parlays on college, pro football, really whatever's looking juicy at the time. And to be honest, last week was just complete mayhem. We didn't hit a single parlay, and then I looked at our account, and we're up $85. So I don't know what happened, but we're here. And so it's better to be lucky than good, I guess. So with that being said, our picks for the week. Justin Herbert, over 285 pass yards, has thrown for at least 250 in 3 straight. Last 2, 305, 405. Should be easy claps. Secondly, again, we're riding this train till it falls off the tracks, boys. Tyreek anytime touchdown until further notice. If they keep giving us that 0.5, we're going to take the over every week until they stop. How do we feel, boys?
I feel great. I mean, I think the real strategy is not to cook up some six leg parlay. Just keep it at 2. Much more manageable. Go with the safe bets, the ones that you actually have a chance of hitting. And I like our strategy here, boys. It's proven. We're up. We started at 50. We're already at 115. Like, we're growing the bank. We're gonna start taking some risks. I'm loving it.
Yeah. So I mean, we're just like slowly striking. You know what I mean? I mean, It's just like your classic Cobra and Mongoose fight. You know what I mean? We're being smart about this. We know they could get us at any time, but we're being smart.
There's a lot of weeks left of the season.
Oh, yeah, we're playing the long game, that's for sure.
It's a long con, baby. So we're putting $30 on this baby to win 90, boys. And
Mhm.
additionally, occasionally the boys like to get in touch on a Friday, and maybe we'll throw a second college parlay in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, you never know. You never know what's going to happen. So, but yeah, those are our bets for the week. They're going to hit as per usual. We're on a hot streak, boys. 3 weeks in a row, and we gained money. I don't know what else you can ask for from a sports betting perspective, but I mean, it's here. Here's the place to be.
There's just a different buzz when you're watching the game and you got money put down on it,
You
and you
got
just
skin in
need
the game,
something to
baby.
happen.
Exactly.
It's the best, and like especially with the season long parlay that we put down, boys. Like when Justin Tucker was lining up for that 62-yard field goal, we were just like, "Oh, here it is! Like it's gonna be number one." And of course, you missed it, and you're like, "Oh!"
Yeah.
But like when
Baby.
Fred Warner had that sack, you're like, "Let's go!"
Mhm.
Just like boys, the season long is looking great. I mean, it's looking like Bo's gonna hit on
Mhm.
the touchdown passes for the year. Bucky needs like 600 rushing yards in the last 8 games, so that's a little bit
Mhm.
tougher. But I
Yeah.
mean, if we get like a 150 performance, like we're right there.
Yeah.
TJ Watt interception can happen any game. That's kind of the more rinky dink type one, but he only needs one.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Fred Warner needs like another assist on a sack. So like we're looking great, boys. We need Justin Tucker to get active though. Tell you what.
Yeah. Yeah. I was really, really trying to, put out for the special teams guys there, and I just hope he doesn't let me down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude, I was like halfway watching the Raiders Steelers game the other night, and TJ Watt recovered that fumble, and I saw him
Mhm.
celebrating with the ball in his hand. I was like, no fucking way. Like, no way it actually just happened. And I was so disappointed, dude. But I think it's gonna hit
Dude,
still.
if / when that one happens, he drops in coverage
A
like a
lot.
fair amount of the time. Plus,
Yeah.
he could just jump up and intercept it at the line too. Like if that dude, that's going to be the shocker of all shockers
Oh
right
yeah.
there.
Dude, all I'm saying is
Yeah.
Price Picks is lucky they didn't let us keep the Troy Franklin 7.5 touchdowns.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
he might have already hit it. I
Yeah,
don't
I
even
think he's
know.
already at 6. Then so that's just
Yeah.
crazy. We're
They knew.
starting
They
a
were, they were so scared.
Troy Franklin for the Bolitnikoff Award. We're gonna start a petition per se right here on the Keep It Down podcast. So
Yeah.
just be on the lookout. Yeah, boys. Without further ado, the Week 5 Pickems, as always, coming in hot, boys. So I will say I didn't get your scores for last week, so I wanted to give the viewers an update on our what our scores were for the year, but I couldn't remember who you guys picked.
We'll go back. We'll get caught up for the next pod.
Okay, we caught up for the next pod. My fault, boys. My
No,
apologies. I
that's our
meant to
fault.
keep track and I completely didn't. So, all right. Anyways, we have business to attend to right now, mate. 13 LSU going to 20 Ole Miss. Ole Miss stumbled against Alabama. Crazy thing to say in 2023, but here we are. LSU on the road at Ole Miss. I'm taking LSU. I think their quarterback's too good. Too good for a lackluster Ole Miss offense who I think relies heavily on the run game. LSU's defense is too good. Quarterback's too good. Going to get one on the road.
Yeah, Ole Miss is not a great place to go play. Weird things happen there. That being said, I'm going to LSU for a lot of the same reasons that Josh mentioned. I think they got the better quarterback in the situation. Ole Miss did not impress me last week.
Yeah, I mean, I picked Ole Miss to beat Bama just because I didn't know how Bama was going to respond after a loss and then a close game to Central Florida team. So yeah, I'm gonna go with LSU.
All right, 24 Kansas. Going to number 3 Texas. Kansas is undefeated. Or are they undefeated? They might have lost once. I don't know. One of
I
the
think
two.
they're undefeated.
They're either undefeated or they have one loss. But going to Texas, I think this will be a tougher test for Texas. It might be one of those games where you kind of catch Texas sleeping for 2 quarters and then, they put them on in the last two. I'm still going to take Texas here. Yeah, I think they win and cover whatever that ungodly spread might be.
Yeah, I'm going Texas.
Yeah, I think
Not a
I
whole
think
lot to
I
say here. I
yeah
would say that if the game was in Kansas, I might be a little bit more sketched out about it. But being in Austin, I mean, you gotta go Texas.
yeah same Texas probably by a lot.
8 USC at Colorado. I'm just having a really hard time getting a feel for what this game's going to be. I mean, it had shootout written all over it. Or what's your word, Schmeg?
Okay, well, if you're referring to Washington State, they're the shootiest, outiest
Oh, there it
team.
is. So this probably will be the shootiest, outiest game of the slate that we have this week. So um, I'm leaning USC, but it's not by a lot. I think Colorado could potentially maybe go into wounded animal mode and give USC some problems because, like we were talking about, USC, if you rattle the quarterback and they have a suspect defense, and that is where a team like Colorado can hurt you. So, yeah, I'm going to take USC. I don't love it. I think this game could get a little sideways.
Um, boys, putting USC on upset alert. I'm doing
Whoa.
it. I am scared about it. I really am. But, I think this is going to be a shootout. I think this is going to be the game that everyone thought last week was going to be. And a side note, why does everyone still think that Oregon is like 2012 Oregon? That we just have a bunch of offense and no defense? Like,
Yeah.
that's not us anymore. Stop saying that. I think this is really going to be like the shootout kind of game. And
Shootiest,
Colorado
outiest.
has been in a couple. Yeah, Colorado's been in a couple of those. I'm not high on Caleb Williams. I'm gonna go Colorado just for the vibes.
So I'm going to go with USC. I think I think this game is going to be a really good kind of metric as to where exactly USC stands this season and exactly how good they are. Because I do think it against Colorado isn't a good matchup for them. I think they still pull it out because I think they just have more on offense than Colorado does. But I think it's going to tell us a lot about who exactly USC is. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think this is a game that Travis Hunter might actually have been able to sway. You know what I mean? Like this
yeah,
is where he could have a more impactful game. Last week he just got absolutely schwacked. Nothing you're going to be able to do about that. But I think
yeah,
in a game like this, Travis Hunter could be huge.
yeah. I think you're right, T. But
Um,
I've
and
heard he is an absolute no go for this week.
you know, saw the clip. Anyways, 10 Utah going to Corvallis playing 19 Oregon State. I'm putting Utah on upset alert. I think they are playing sort of a match. Um, they're very similar teams in their ideology and the way they think about the game. And I think this is going to be the week where maybe we see their backup quarterback struggle on the road because, I mean, just no one can read what's actually going on with Cam Rising. So I think if their backup quarterback plays, this could be the game we see some turnovers and stupid mistakes playing a stout defense in Oregon State, especially on the road. So I'm taking Oregon State.
Yeah, I mean that Florida win for Utah really left a lasting impression in my mind. I'm going to go with Utah. I think they're just the tougher, more well coached team all around. Like I said, Oregon State did not impress me last week. I understand that it's going to be more their style of game this week, but I'm still going Utah.
I think I'm gonna go Oregon State here. Just a little nervous for Utah. They've been able to do it so far up to this point. I just don't know how long that keeps up for. You know what I mean? Against a team that plays more of that style. So I'm gonna go with Oregon State.
And then lastly on the docket, boys, it was kind of a thin week. I'm not going to lie. There just wasn't a whole lot out there. So we're taking two Michigan at Nebraska. We've seen Michigan stumble a few times. I don't think they'll stumble here, but it is in the Bussin' Bowl, so you never know. You never know what could happen. So I'm going to take Michigan, but
Yeah, same. Michigan.
Yeah, Nebraska's bad. I'm going Michigan.
yeah,
I just wonder how bad
unfortunately.
it's actually gonna get. You know what I mean?
How deep does the barrel go? Yeah, boys. That's all we officially have on the. Oh, well, actually, I mean, we got to preview Oregon's game this week. I don't think we need to take too long on it here, but Oregon's going on the road to play Stanford this weekend. Going to be favored big. Should win by big. Should be a classic Oregon playing Oregon. No mistakes, no penalties, and we should get out of there just fine. Let the backups play by third quarter.
Yeah, I think this is a huge game for us this week. I mean, the emotional win, all this stuff in the media, with the whole Colorado deal last week. Like, can we refocus and go play Stanford this week? We've seen it happen before where we overlook them and they come to nip us in the ass. So Just can we get ready? Can we execute? Can we keep this train rolling?
Yeah, I think momentum is huge for us right now. I think I don't really know if there. It doesn't really matter who we play this week. We have all the momentum we need. I mean, if you're going by basic math here, Stanford was in a 1 touchdown game against Hawaii just a couple weeks ago, and we dog walked Hawaii. So if you're doing that kind of math and that kind of logic and reasoning, that should be able to handle this one pretty easy.
They lost outright to Sacramento State.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
we get Stanford, which in theory should be a cakewalk. Bye week, Washington. And I think Washington is probably going to be the showdown this year as far as our schedule goes. I think USC is going to be, the veil is going to drop and we're all going to find out that they are the pretenders we thought they were. And maybe that matchup at the end of the season isn't going to be what we thought it was going to be. So I think Washington's really going to be the crucial one for us. So the schedule just could not have worked out any better with that bye week beforehand. Get ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent work up on by the scheduling team, man.
Yeah, I mean, Washington has 3 receivers averaging over 100 yards a game. 3 of them. And yeah, I mean, obviously we'll talk about that more as it comes close. But yeah, that is definitely the one that you're going to circle with the red Sharpie on your calendar. So,
yep.
Yeah. Boys, anything else? I think we kind of touched on it all today. We talked about sports media. We talked about the Swifties. I mean, it comes full circle every time, just like we talked about at the beginning of the episode.
Hey, Keep It Down podcast, your one-stop shop here. We talk about it all.
Why go anywhere else? So yeah, boys, if you got nothing else, that's effectively going to do it for episode 36 of the Keep It Down podcast. Yeah, boys, say something to people, huh?
Yeah, man. Another huge week of football coming up. Different feeling this week, man. Not the hype that it was last week as far as the Oregon schedule goes, walking into that big Colorado matchup last week. But Stanford on the docket this week, boys. Should be more of a celebratory occasion. But yeah, man, thanks for listening, everyone that stuck with us. And it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. And hope everyone has a great weekend of football.
Yeah. And as always, take care, brush your hair. Peace out, boys.
Go Dogs.